Hey,
Hey, how are you doing?
hey, I'm well. How are you?
Well, thank you so much.
Good. How's the sound on your side?
Sound is perfect. Great.
Awesome. Good, good. I'm excited. I've been working on my sound and video for like the past half an hour. I wasn't sure if
Oh
you
my
could be
God.
following.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So
I cannot see you.
anyway, you cannot see me? Oh, okay, what do I do here? Let's go to, oh, you're right. I think the camera,
That's right.
is
That's
that better?
to see you.
Okay. Check it out.
So, where have you been? I haven't seen you at TC for a long time.
Where have I been? Well, I was just in Burbank in Hollywood.
Oh, great.
Uh,
What are you doing there?
I was doing two things. I
Hmm.
was visiting family.
Okay.
We're going through some things, exciting things. My sister's having a baby.
Oh, congratulations.
Uh, yeah, we're very excited. It went from nervousness to excitement really fast.
Yes.
Uh, as these things usually go.
Yes.
And so I had to just touch base with my sister and my mom, where she's going to be a single mom. The dad will be in the life, but she's going to be mostly a single mom. So we want to make sure that
Yeah.
we're supporting her and making sure she's okay and all that good jazz. And then, but on my selfish side, I was also there to do comedy mics, open mics. I mean,
Oh, how was it over there?
it's great, man. There's just as many mics here as there is in New York.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it's a little more complicated here. I'm sorry, in Hollywood because of the driving aspect of things. You
Right.
have to really
Right.
plan things out, be very strategic about what mics you want to get on.
Right.
I would say that more, I'm from there, so it's not so complicated getting around. But just the parking aspect of it, you always got to find a parking
Yes.
spot,
Yes.
and that itself is a big nightmare if you didn't already know.
I studied at New York Film Academy in Burbank.
Oh, okay. So you're familiar with Burbank.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But I was not driving then, so I
Mm,
mean, I have a little bit of idea, but not really because although
mm.
it's next to the Warner Brothers studio, uh,
Okay. Yeah.
Academy, yeah. So yeah, so tell me, so you're back in New York?
No, so my home base is Denver. So I'm in Colorado right now.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. That's
Yeah.
great. I
Yeah.
want to
This
be
is
in
where.
Colorado. I haven't been, and I've heard so much. I want to. That's on my bucket list. Seattle, Colorado, Portland. You know,
Yep.
that trip I want to do very soon. I was planning to do it and go visit my one of my best friends live in Seattle, and
Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to do it in February, March, but then things came up and I just
Yeah.
had plans. So that's great to hear. And
Yeah.
so tell me about your comedic style. It's very proper. Snipes told me about you before I met you, and
Yeah.
a very good analysis that we have many, commonalities. The way he put it was that, we know something about everything. So, and when I heard your material, your subject material is vast, and you don't repeat your bits, and you
No.
so go into that's my approach as well, to go into topics untouched, areas and
Yeah.
films original,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you have a very detailed yet elaborate observational style comedy. So tell me a little bit.
First of all, that analysis is great, man. I don't know did you spend the entire night writing that setup because that was
No, no,
brilliant.
no. Because it's very similar to mine. I came to Dick and Pussy jokes because uh, people were not, very responsive to my
yeah.
tirades, and I'm very
Yeah.
inspired by Louis Black, so that's his style, more satirical and more sarcasm and irony. So
Right. Right.
yeah, so but I still even in Dick and Pussy I try to explore my territory and take it in various
Yeah.
directions.
Yeah, so I guess to answer your question, you said tell you about my style. It's funny you should say all that. What your analysis, 'cause I feel like it's very accurate for the most part.
Mm.
I think as a comedian, you might agree that we're always evolving. So
Yeah.
we're always trying to grow into like a more genuine or more real, more honest,
Right.
more relatable voice. So I am working towards that, even though that's what you see.
Yeah.
Um, I still feel like there's still work to be done, but the key I think is to I like to stay fresh. I like to stay on top of different things
Yes.
without over exerting myself or overextending myself in topics. Um, I think I told you when I first met you is that I try and deep dive into things that people don't talk about, or if the topic is already talked about, I want to find a new angle.
Yes.
That's general. I mean, we live in a world where everyone has opinions and jokes about everything,
That's
right?
right.
So it's difficult to find an angle that hasn't been seen
Right.
and hasn't been projected yet. So that takes a surrendering to the process of writing. You have to really give
Beautiful.
into it.
Very well put. Very
Uh,
well put. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what that means is that you don't take the first draft. You don't even take the second or third. Sometimes you really just let it marinate in you, right? Some people make it spiritual. Some people just do drugs.
Right.
But whatever works for you is what works for you. And so I'm not going to tell someone that I have a whole formula, but that's the gist of it as far as how I get to something, how I get to a material. I mean,
Right.
um, but my style on stage is you said just now. My smile. I think that smiling is important for me
Mhm.
um, because I'm not looking for dark, nervous laughter.
Okay.
Even though some of my material can be a little dark, I have a suicide bit that I
Yeah. Yeah.
first tested on you guys last time I was there.
Yeah.
Um, it's important for me because I'm not there. I'm not really there. I'm not a punchy. I'm not trying to. I'm not looking for shock humor. I'm
Yeah.
not looking to offend either. That's not my thing. I want my people, my audience, to go. Ah, I've never thought of that before. That's all it is.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, yeah.
And
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, and then ultimately I want to kind of like make dude, I want people to feel like that's a twist I haven't heard before.
Mhm.
And ultimately you try and like seal it with a nice punchline or two.
Mhm.
And onward. Like don't one thing that I told myself when I was getting back into this game a few months ago is that no matter what I wrote, I wasn't going to get married to it. A lot of comedians are so fucking tied down to
Yes.
the same jokes,
Right.
and they just won't, for whatever reason, either change it or deviate or just put it in the closet for like a month and
Mhm.
try something new. I try something new almost every time I go up.
Yes.
Um, and because it forces me to stay honest
Right.
about what I'm committed to. So that's where I'm coming from. I can't again can't speak for everyone, right?
Right. I totally agree with you. And another commonality that I have with you is that we both record our sets.
Yeah, we do. We do.
So
Yeah,
that's a total accountability thing because you
that's right.
want to challenge yourself, not only in
Yeah,
terms of material, but also in terms of nerves, in terms of reflexes. And I totally agree with
yeah,
that. That you need to keep coming up with this new material and new writing angles and new observational aspects because of course I have a typically similar approach in the sense that I do not opt for shock comedy and shock humor and
right.
however I think it is now the need of our times that because there is so much comedy going on which is very good on one side, but on the
Hmm.
other hand it is also getting saturated as well because it's recycled
Hmm.
humor from there is a kind
Right,
of need to rebrand or define the same joke in a different way in different words, and you can claim that it's
right.
plagiarism. But for me, like you mentioned, try to stay fresh. That's for me is my challenge to myself because curiosity is very important, and
Yeah,
also you need to feel consumed as well. You
yeah,
need to have fun as well because for me it's a food for thought. Comedy is a food for thought, and I want to have fun when I'm on stage. and
Right.
find the same element in your style as well. And also, you mentioned that you marinate the ideas and let them pollinate and let them bloom on
Hmm.
their own.
Hmm.
So same is the
Right.
approach as well, because even in terms of curiosity, like for example, I was thinking about this. I used to find dementia. In fact, one of my friends, her father has dementia, and he just, leaves, and it's very hard to find him. And there are these gadgets that you know. So
Right.
yeah. So it's funny, and just we thought, how I would love to seduce my sister-in-law and then claim that, oh, I thought it was my wife. And so dementia is a funny disease, but that thing came to me
Yeah.
a month ago, but giving this twist,
Yeah.
it just came
Yeah.
yeah, around because I was writing something about grannies. And from there I thought, one time a friend of mine, a granny that I was dating, she forgot her tampon, and was accusing me of not taking bath. And there was a smell somewhere, and ultimately found that it was a tampon left inside. So again,
That's
it's part
funny.
and
That's
parcel
funny.
of dating a granny, that some dementia.
Yeah.
So although it was nothing to do with dementia, but
Uh,
gave a twist to it, spin to it. So
yeah.
I totally admire this thing in you, because when you
Mm.
look into your bit with the Amazon, you
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like these are the areas that you have to actually experience yourself,
Yeah.
going there, and then you got to be as authentic as you are, in
Yeah.
to give your own glance to it, because yeah, it's very important,
Yeah.
and I don't see people talking about it. Like you said,
Right.
highly opinionated times we are living, because
Um,
if you just scroll through the Facebook feed, their
yeah.
comments are so funny that you can make bits out of that, so there's nothing,
Yeah.
just to make people laugh is not a tough feat.
I'll start with your point. I'll go back to the Amazon in a second.
Right, right, right.
Um, I I'm basically in three different circuits right now as far as comedy circuits. I'm in the New York one, as obviously. I'm in the Denver one sometimes, and I'm also now in the Hollywood one.
Mhm.
And the number of times, and I don't punch down on on comedians. I think comedians, they do what they do. I do me, you do you, right? That's a professional courtesy, right? But the amount of well, you said plagiarism, but we call it parallel thinking. There's just so much parallel thinking, amongst comedians, and it's also TikTokers, influencers. They all do the same thing. They all feed off each other, looking for likes and subscribers. Right? Well, we know what the game is all about. It's
Yeah.
about followers. It's about fans. So that's we. So I get why comedians go for the easy pickings, right? The low hanging fruit. That's what they go for.
Right, right.
And I can't tell you how many times I've heard uh, jokes against Starbucks, like Starbucks jokes, for example. Like how many more fucking Starbucks jokes do I have to hear,
Right.
right, to be convinced that it fucking sucks? I fucking get it. Like, you
Right.
don't need to tell me what it's about. Every comedian, every other comedian,
Say
at
that
some point has that kind of joke, right?
you think that it's anti-Semitic if I don't like Starbucks. That's
I
that's
don't like Starbucks either, but
that's
it's not because it's anti-Semitic.
yeah. I said that,
It's
does
just,
that make me anti-Semitic?
oh, it could be. I don't know. If you want to make the connection, go for it.
I
I'm
have
not
asked,
gonna.
I have thrown this out many times, and yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. Okay, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, it's too acidic for me. I'm always burnt. My
Yeah.
acid reflux is just like I'm just
Yeah.
like Karen from The Exorcist. I'm just projecting acid every time. No, but so back to the Amazon. When the Amazon bit came to me, I was very hesitant about it
Mhm.
because there's a fine line between being original and being hacky, right? Being uh, just so unrelatable that people will just go, eh,
Right.
right? Like you're trying too hard almost. And so I'm always dancing with that fine line of am I force feeding this to people,
Mhm.
right? Am I just saying take it and that's it? Or is this funny? Like, is this genuinely funny? And so, um, for those who haven't heard the bit, I basically go into Amazon trees and I talk about um, how trees have criminal minds and blah blah blah, and I give them life, I give them thoughts, all right, and I say how they're all connected, and I say that they have the internet and they're dating and blah blah. And I won't give you the whole thing on the podcast,
Right.
but that's basically it. I give life to this to these trees, and the more I use that bit, the more I perform it,
Mhm.
the better reaction I've gotten. You don't like I've had so many people come up to me after and tell me that was so refreshing. I, especially in New York, that was so refreshing. I haven't heard a comedian use that material
Right.
either ever or in just I haven't heard original content like that before. And that started in New York. I used that bit here in Hollywood. Same. And the same reaction I kept getting from audience members or from comedians was, "You blew my fucking mind away." That
Mhm.
was just from outer space. And
Right.
the more people told me that, the more I got excited about it. And so the funnier it got because half of the performance is your energy.
That's
And
right.
if you really believe in it,
That's right.
then they'll believe in it.
Absolutely.
And I think half the time people just want to be distracted from the problems anyway. So for you to talk about something so absurd like trees dating and having the internet and blah 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 blah, it's just refreshing. And I think that's what comedians I think generally forget. It's easy to get caught up in the circuit and want to have a witty, sarcastic, facetious bit. I
Mhm.
get it, especially in the East Coast, very intellectual, you like to play on words and you like to use anger, which is fine. But if everybody's doing it, then you're just quacking like everybody else, right? And so I see that when I'm there and I go, okay, how do I how do I spin this? And the Amazon bid has just been a jewel for me so far. And I, of course, it's only evolving. I'm not going to settle for what it is now. It's only going to get a whole funnier.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, another thing that I found in your material is, it's deep. So when you mentioned that
yeah,
it's not slapstick or a shock or humor, then I totally agree with you because I have the similar style. I take time to put out
yeah.
and then make it funny. But I think at the same time, I think it will be further blossom when you will have more time on stage, because when you get that kind of
Bingo,
success, yeah, you need to
bingo.
develop a build up, and then
Yeah.
really smash, because again,
Hmm.
what I'm trying to say is, for example, this is special kind of a material, for the stuff you do in specials. You can wait for 5 minutes to build up that laughter, and then, like, for example, Doug Stanhope
Correct.
does it. He creates a
Right.
he makes people his enemy, and then at the end he just throws out
Yeah.
something that everybody goes crazy. So
Yeah.
in 5 minutes, you don't get that much of time to
No.
build that kind of rapport with the crowd, and try their understanding, because it's a new area, it's a no-go area, so people definitely take more time. Another thing is that for me, there is something called amusing as well. And with that, I mean, that it doesn't have to be, again, chalk humor. It has to be something new, and something, you don't have to necessarily laugh about it. You can even, just glance
Hmm.
and say,
Hmm.
he's the big
Hmm.
motherfucker,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to hear it, because
Yeah.
the thing is, the role of, because we don't, I think, when you talked about punching down on comedians, I really admire all comedians, and I try to punch up, because
Yes. Exactly.
we are the philosophers of our time. We are the prophets of our time. We are the mental
Hey.
health healers of our time, because
Hmm. Hmm.
to gather that courage and go up there, and any person I speak to and who finds out about me doing stand up, is that they say that, you've been a writer, you've been musician, filmmaker, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
you're doing comedy, that is the bravest thing. I told
Yeah.
them that I have a black belt as well. They say, no, no, that's not brave. This is brave, and which
Yeah.
actually it is. So what I'm trying to say is that as a philosopher, you go into territories which are unexplored, and I try to go into areas which are considered no go. For example, in terms of
Mm,
prejudice or bigotry,
yeah,
and I try to give it an impartial spin. So
yeah,
I think when I mentioned that, and this is the need of our time, because uh, comedians are usually, for example, so when I'm wearing a blazer, when I'm feeling like, and when it's cold, they think that
yeah.
I'm being pretentious or whatever. The other day, a girl asked me on a dating app that, were you giving a presentation or was it stand-up comedy? So,
Mm,
but that's what I felt like, and
yeah,
people do want to. You don't have to be a guy in shorts with the reverse cap and
yeah,
shabby and just rogue, or just irrational or just crazy. That's
yeah.
not the only brand of comedy. You can be stylistic, you can be deep,
Sure.
and that's what people want now. They want to hear free thinkers, which blur the lines between politician and writers and
Yeah.
comedians.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I totally. So yeah, I think what you're saying, what I'm understanding is that there is no one size fits all style of comedian, whether in like the way they dress
Yeah.
and the way they perform. I agree with the way they think. I think variety is a spice of life, and without variety, comedians could not be as funny. So one style of comedy gives way to another because if we're all the same, then none of us are standing out. I think we see eye to eye
Yes.
on that particular
Yes.
parallel. I think I wouldn't say I do think that we're the philosophers. It's I think in theory I'd like to think we're the philosophers of our time. I think that most comedians are not necessarily philosophers. I think most of them are just looking to get famous. That's what I think.
That's right. That's
They're,
right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they'll say anything to get famous.
That's right.
Again, I think you and I would be lying to ourselves if we didn't want the same thing. We obviously want recognition. We want more stage time. More stage time means what? More natural, fluid
That's right.
us, and it brings to light. It accentuates our material better if I had 7 to 10 minutes
That's right.
every single time, at the very least.
That's right.
Obviously, as a professional, you get like I think some more like 15 to 20, and then beyond that is a special, right? Okay, I think we're there.
Yes.
Um, but I try not to overthink that aspect of it. That we're the philosophers of our time. We're the prophecies of our time. I think that cap is too big for this small head right now. Um, but in theory, I agree with you. I think that we are the voices of our time. But I think that we're competing, though. This is a problem that we have as comedians. We're competing with the internet. We're competing with so much content coming from everywhere now. I mean, I'm 30, I'm 38, going on 39. So, it used to be if you wanted to find comedy, you had to find HBO specials when they came on.
Right.
Okay, not like I'm going to stream it next Monday, whenever next. No, so now it's like everything's so accessible. So you almost have to turn heads quicker, and that's the challenge that I think that we face. So I try not to overthink the what does it mean in like the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I try and I think we're both macro thinkers, but I gotta bring a micro
I don't know.
approach
Yeah.
to it every single time, and it's one mic at a time, one circuit at a time, and beyond that, it's not to get too. This is kind of a grenade here, but it's more than that. It's also networking. It's also who you know. It's also getting yourself to the mic. And that's a picture that most people don't see unless you're in the scene. So I try not to get too hung up on what it means in the bigger picture because I'm so focused in the immediate right here, right now. But in theory, I agree with you. Yes.
I totally agree with you, especially in the context that, for example, the first and the foremost thing is that you got to enjoy, and I'm enjoying. I'm having
Mm,
a hell of a ride.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Number one. Number two is that the what we are polishing now is, for example, we are compulsive observational thinker, and
Yeah, yeah.
we can't
Mhm.
help. even if we are not seeing something, if we are hearing something, some process starts working, that's one thing. Yeah. And then at the same time, what we are polishing now is the timing, is the punch. And like you
Hmm.
said, seasoned comedians, they would tell you, that, oh, can I pick up this water bottle? And they will make it funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, the basic thing.
absolutely.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
once we hone that, once we master that, I see myself selling out stadiums when I'm 60. I say,
Fucking A.
yeah, I feel
Fucking
the
A.
same about you, because the thing is,
Yeah. Yeah.
writing is the key to everything. Every
Yes.
part, even apart from probably painting, you need to put it on paper, and
Yeah.
which itself is, writing in some way. You are telling a story, whatever. So if you keep on churning new material, it's and if you don't stop the process, and you once you start enjoying,
Mm-hmm.
then I think is
Mm-hmm.
the limit. And again, I think for me, this entire revolution, like you mentioned about HBO, for me, I was in Dubai, and I was working there, and a guy introduced me to Russell Peters, and then I went
Mm.
crazy. And
Very cool.
yeah, to went to two of his shows back to back in Dubai.
Mm.
And then before, there was this, a huge market of Pakistani comedy, which is all over India as well. And there was this comedian
Okay.
who recently died. So his style was, always there. And then sarcasm was also, I used to, when I studied all these Shakespeare and all these Midsummer Night's Dream and all these
Yeah.
comedies, and comedy of errors and all,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of gave me. And of course, after Russell Peters, there was this, jackpot opened, and I went through all the Richard Pryor material, and George Carlin and Bill Hicks, and on Apple Music.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, so that kind of created a reservoir of, how jokes should be written, and what are the areas, where you can really go into. And then one thing that I learned is that there is no area, as long as you can, you
Yeah.
think that, there is a paradox, and if there is
Um,
a dichotomy or a conflict, you can just make it funny.
yeah, totally. Was this something recent that happened to you with this paradigm shift, this whole Russell Peters thing, or was this years ago
No, I
or
sent to 2006.
2006? So it was a little while ago. Yeah. I came to that conclusion as well. Um, I was always I've always been a very I've never been afraid of the stage, right? I think that probably shows when I'm on there for the most part. I mean, when I'm trying new material, I might be a little bit, I mean, we're all a little coy when we're trying new material.
Yeah, yeah,
But once I got it, then I just like I it's like I breathe it, I project it. It's like a part of it's like having fingers. It's just a part of me. Um, but I remember when I was in because I went to school in France. I went to the American University of Paris.
yeah. Okay, that's
Um, yeah, and at the time I was studying politics, but academically, obviously, I was learning that. But on the as a person, as a young man, I was 21 to 23, almost 24. I was really coming into my own as far as ideas go. Like, what do I believe? What do I feel? How do I really think for myself? And I was obviously smoking a lot of pot,
Mhm.
but I had a lot of great friends at the time who were free thinkers from all over the world, from Saudi, from Pakistan, from India, from so we had 100 countries represented in in our small university. So I had a lot of interesting people that I met during those 2.5, almost 3 years, including my ex girlfriend at the time, who was international. So everybody was international to some extent, or mostly international. Even the Americans there were like, culture traveled Americans, not your everyday Americans.
right.
And so at the time, I realized that's when I realized that I was different.
Right.
I was not just another guy from the San Fernando Valley in LA. Like I was unique in my own way. I never understood that and what my thinking was and
Mhm.
how I perceived and this and that.
Mhm.
And I had always been into comedy. I had done some stage acting when I was in middle school, and I was pretty good actually. Um, but then I got it into my head that I say some pretty funny things, some pretty outlandish things, in fact. And I was like, "Where's this coming from?" From me, obviously, from me. I'm not plagiarizing anybody. But I kept thinking on my influences, and I had George Carlin as probably my number one influence was George Carlin. Dave Chappelle is another influence of mine, and I started watching Inside the Actor Studio with
Okay.
James Lipton.
Yes.
Okay, this is before YouTube was so prolific in videos. You had to really deep dive and find these things back then. And I was able to
And,
find
and
and I
download from torrents.
yeah, exactly. So you know. So I was at the time, on my in my downtime in Paris, because I had a little tiny like apartment, the sixth floor of a Parisian building with no lift. I had to take the stairs every time. It was a dark little room, and this was my college years. These were my college years. It's all I could afford. So during at nighttime, this is what I would do with my little tiny phone, and I'd watch these videos of comedians giving these interviews. Robin Williams, George Carlin, Dave Chappelle. This is during his Dave Chappelle show drama,
Right.
the show.
Mm.
And I remember just hearing their thinking. I go, I'm listening to parallels between their thinking and the way I think
Absolutely. Yeah.
as far as what we are able to say in terms of freedom of speech, right? Taking and pushing the envelope further and
Mm.
saying things that are supposed to be taboo and unspoken, right? And so George Carlin gives one of the best jokes. I'm not going to tell you the whole joke, but he says how rape can be funny, and he describes rape being funny with Eskimos, right? And it's his own take, and I go, well, yeah, he made it funny, so I suppose and that was just an example to prove that anything could be funny if you spun it,
Right.
in this unique way. And that actually that whole process, that whole thinking, kind of inspired me to go into comedy as well. So I think we probably had a
No, no, absolutely. I mean, I mean, I went through personal evolution in the sense that I traveled the world as well. And then I also became an atheist from a Muslim. And then, I
gotcha.
did Satanism as well. And then, always to it, to piss off people. I
I
was,
can see your horns. I can see
yeah,
your horns coming
yeah.
out.
I just aggravate people,
Uh,
just make them, give them
yeah,
a punch, gut punch, and
yeah,
make them conscious of what the fuck is he talking about. So
yeah.
that was part of, and then I also had a very unique approach to it. That, for example, an astrological approach to it. That I'm a Sagittarian, so I studied all the Sagittarians like Richard Pryor, Bill Hicks, Sarah Silverman.
Same,
Yeah,
same.
and
Yeah,
then I deciphered their evilness, and how
yeah.
you're also Sagittarian.
Am I what?
Are you a Sagittarian as well?
No, I'm Gemini. I'm
Mhm.
Gemini.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, so very
mm,
witty and very brainy, yeah, and
yeah. Very
yeah,
good.
so yeah, and many comedians like Joe Coy is also
Yeah,
Gemini. My favorite, Bill Burr, is a Gemini because they are very good at transmitting ideas through telepathy and body language, and many uh, favorite actors from India, especially comedians have been Gemini. So yeah, so that was my losing my religion. Was a big free thinking and independent thinking for me, and
sure.
then transcending all these the denials in the society was
Yeah,
walking material.
sure. I'm more spiritual now. I don't. I'm borderline atheist.
Mhm.
But you said that you gave up religion or became atheist. It's funny because um, I was never, I was raised Catholic. I'm Mexican. I always say they tried to raise me Catholic. My parents didn't know what to do with me,
Right.
right? Because I was a very, like a lot of kids, I was a very restless little fucker. Like I was always talking, I was always saying something. So my nickname in my family, I have two nicknames. They either call me the parrot or the parakeet. It's because I just won't shut the fuck up. That's just the truth.
Yes.
And so this was the truth. This was also true in church. So
Mhm.
they tried to take me to church, and I just couldn't stop. I didn't understand why the man was hung on the cross. and everyone was always feeling so bad about themselves there,
Right,
doing this fucking thing. And like, what the fuck's going on? Like, we were just having cereal an hour ago.
right.
Now we're just the worst. We're awful people. I didn't get it, right? So, and at a very young age, I saw this. This is, I mean, respectfully, this idiocy. Like, what are we doing here? Praying to this person who with time I came to realize I don't believe in white Jesus, first of all.
Yeah.
But just the idea of being told what to think, or being influenced by people who have no idea what we're going through in our personal lives. Like, they understand in I know that priests and pastors and all these religious people are wise. I never doubted they were wise. But because I was so restless, my parents would tell me to wait outside at church. It was great. It was wonderful. So I'd walk around in circles, and I'd just wait for them, and I'd look at the birds, and I was like, this is great. So I wasn't indoctrinated, right? Like some of my cousins and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they all knew how to pray. They all knew how to pray and be like, what is all this?
Right.
I don't understand this. And I think that fueled my irreverent, sarcastic. At the time, I was a little more flippant. I'm a little more controlled now when I say things, as far as if they're blasphemous or not. I like to read the room before I say anything, right?
Right.
But I think that my ADHD saved me from the indoctrination that could have been, right.
I mean, I've been
And
I've been accused of blasphemy, and that's why I left Pakistan. They
yeah,
killed me over there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's different
but
up
at
there.
the same time, like you mentioned, church. For me, that was the congregation time was the only way to watch porn, because I told them, if whatever you want to hear, I can tell you, and then you go on your own, and then I'm gonna stay home, and that's the you know.
That's
So I
great. That's
had
great.
to tell them, that I was
Mm,
top notch, and I was actually when it comes to
yeah,
religion.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
swung in and out, and then that was the only refuge for me to VHS porn, back in the day.
Yeah. When I officially gave up on church was for years. When I was a kid, I was a romantic. I really wanted to get married and have kids.
Mm.
A lot of kids, a lot of guys are like that. With boys, we want to get married and have kids because we think it's so. But my dad kept telling me, if you don't do your first communion, you're
Mm.
not going to be able to get married,
Right.
which is true. Which is true only in church. That
Okay.
but
Yeah.
not in the legal system. And I didn't know how to differentiate between a church wedding and like a legal marriage, right? A union. And so he fear mongered me into it. That son of a bitch. and so, and so one
I mean,
summer it was.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So one summer, I was the summer after I finished middle school. I was 14, which by this point, if you haven't done your first communion in the Catholic world, this is late. 14 is late. You consider it like it's like you're late to the game. It's
That's a
already
bit
the
in its
post.
own. You should tell
It's
this.
already,
If you
yeah,
don't
yeah. It's
already have
already
a bit
it's
of
already
it.
the post game, and you're like, put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. And so my dad he goes, okay, so this summer you're spending it in Mexico, and you're gonna go do what do they call that school you have to do your first, I forget what it's called now, catechism, I think, something like that.
Mm.
So he goes, this summer you're gonna spend it at a church. You're gonna do your catechism and then do your first communion by the end of summer. Otherwise, you can't get married. That was the thing, right? Otherwise, you can't get married. Oh God, I guess I got to do it, right? I kept imagining the scenario where I meet a woman and she goes, "Okay, let's get married," and then I'd be like, "Oh shoot, I forgot. I haven't done my first communion,"
I mean,
and so I didn't
yeah.
want to be that guy.
I mean,
And
I
but
never got married for the same reason. I just had a legal
yeah,
marriage once,
yeah,
and I ran away for
yeah,
4 marriages because I was
yeah,
getting tied down. So we have less than
yeah,
a minute. Dave, wrap it up.
yeah. Sure,
We need to
no
do
worries.
this one again, soon. But wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, thank you for inviting me out. It was awesome. Hope we do it again. You can also just call me on a personal ring if you want to talk anytime. Okay.
Yep, yep, yep. Thank you so much, and it's always been a pleasure to hear your stuff and keep sharing. I will add you to our
Uh,
group, and please share your
okay.
book, because I'm not sure
Sure.
you are, putting up your material regularly on Instagram. So, like, all of us would like to hear more from you. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. We'll be in touch.
take care. Bye bye.
All
Bye.
right. Peace. Bye.